Hello, my name is Paula Gonzalez, and for my first criticism, I will be doing a narrative criticism on a song slash music video um, by artist Lana Del Rey called National Anthem. So, who is Lana Del Rey? Lana Del Rey is her biological name is Elizabeth Woolridge Grant, also known as her stage name Lana Del Rey. She is a 37-year-old singer-songwriter who was raised in upstate New York. She comes from a very wealthy family. Her dad is a domain developer and a executive at a company called Great Group. Because actually of her father is how Lana was, how she became known. Her father did sponsor her a lot, and on here, I did note that her father helped with the marketing of her first album, which brought her attention back in 2010. After that, Lana did rise to fame after the release of her first album, which she named after her stage name, which again is Lana Del Rey. So already she had a advantage and a stepping stone that most artists usually don't, which was her father helping her out financially and obviously with the networking. So Lana Del Rey and her music, her album Lana Del Rey, as mentioned, was released in 2010. Her music is mostly categorized, her music genre, I'm sorry, is categorized as indie rock. In 2011, she released a self-shot music video to one of her songs named Video Games. This brought so much attention to her. There wasn't an artist at the time who was kind of singing and shooting their music videos the way she was doing it. She has a very soft voice, and it was just very aesthetically pleasing for a lot of people, which is how she grew her fan base. The music that she would the lyrics that she would sing was one of a kind, and her music videos were just very thought out and very artistically pleasing. Her second album was released after she did sign a deal with Interscope Records in 2012. Then her album Born to Die was released back in January of 2012. This is where the song that I will be talking about, National Anthem, was featured. Before I do move into the song in itself, as mentioned, Lana did has rose to fame, and she does have a lot of albums. These are just some of the ones that I was able to um, gather, but she does have 4 albums here. She does her Lana Del Rey, which was the one we spoke about. Then she has the Lana Del Rey Born to Die, the Paradise Edition. And then one of my personal favorites, her album Ultra Violence, which was more of a dark, romantic type of album. And then her latest one, which is not that latest, but it's the last one she has put out, is Honeymoon. So that is some of her albums. So how is the US being used as a reference in today's music? As mentioned, Lana Del Rey did release a song entitled National Anthem in 2012. And in the music video of this song, the whole storyline portrays the assassination of President John F. Kennedy back in 1963. The artist Lana, she does plays both roles of Marilyn Monroe and Jacqueline Kennedy, and the role of President JFK is played by rapper ASAP Rocky. So before I go into the history of JFK, ASAP Rocky is his real name is Rakeem Mayers, but he is known as his stage name ASAP Rocky. He is from the Bronx. I believe, and he rose to fame after um, he signed with a record deal and released his a group of him and his friends called the ASAP Mob. But he is an American rapper and singer, and he is also a record producer who quickly rose to fame as well, which is how him and Lana were able to be in this music video. So the history of John F. Kennedy, the President of the United States of America. Sorry, he was the 35th President of the United States of America. And um, while he was only in term for a short time, there was a rumor that he had had an affair with Marilyn Monroe, who at the time Marilyn was a singer and an actress who was a very good looking person, and she was well known for her looks and for the way that she portrayed herself as a woman. And for John F. Kennedy's 45th birthday, Marilyn Monroe was invited, and she was the one that sang the famous Happy Birthday, Mr. President to him at this huge celebration that they were having. And then shortly after the performance, President John F. Kennedy did make a comment in front of all those in attendance, which was a lot of people at the Madison Square Park. And it was a comment that portrayed Marilyn almost as a sex symbol. He did state something along the lines like, how can I remain in politics when I just had one of the most beautiful women sing happy birthday to me? Which if I were to be Jacqueline Kennedy, listening to him say that, I would be so embarrassed and it would be like a slap in the face. Um, but it also could have been a confirmation to the rumor that Marilyn and President John F. Kennedy were having an affair. To this day, I don't think that is fully confirmed. I think it's just a story that continues to be told. So the assassination of John F. Kennedy, and I quote here, Kennedy's death serves as the turning point of endless number of stories. And I do want to touch bases on this quote that I found. I obviously was not around when John F. Kennedy was assassinated, but I have always heard so many stories, so many interpretations of it, and so many theories of why and who and you know the reason for it. And it is something that I think it's one of the deaths that people till this day talk about because of who John F. Kennedy was, and what the fame that he was given, and his looks, I honestly would say, really do get brought a lot of attention to him. So unfortunately, President John F. Kennedy was assassinated on November 22nd of 1963. I believe he was running again for president, and they were going around to the different states for his campaign. And they were in Texas at the time, and he was riding through a motorcade when he was in the neck and head, when he was shot in the neck and head. They do say that the person who shot was possibly up in a building by a window. So that is how they were able to get that perfect angle to really take a shot at John F. Kennedy. He was accompanied by the First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy, who she also was in the vehicle when he was shot. Um, John F. Kennedy was shot at 12:30 p.m. and he was pronounced dead 30 minutes later. They do say that when President John F. Kennedy was shot, obviously it was in the back of his neck and his head kind of swung, and Jacqueline caught his head. Not that it, completely came apart from detached from his body, but it became limp, and she was holding on to his head. And that is just very unfortunate that she had to go through that. So the reason behind national anthem, when asked why she picked the story, when they asked Lana why she picked the storyline, she does state that um, really interested in exploring this loss of innocence. This idea is that what you think you're experiencing is maybe not what it's always going to be. Because when you say Kennedy, that immediately evokes something, just like when I say it's Romeo and Juliet. So I think using that power, that pedigree of the story is really fascinating place to show the loss of something, the breakdown of something. And I really like this because, and I really understood it more when she used the Romeo and Juliet story, because of course everyone praises the Romeo and Juliet story and they see it as something that's so cute and romantic, when in reality it was something very tragic. It is something tragic. They both ended up killing themselves for one another, not knowing that that wasn't what was supposed to happen. So it's something so tragic turned into something so beautiful. Just how like John F. Kennedy's story is seen with a lot of glamour, and a lot of like they idolized him a lot, but in reality, it's actually a really sad story that he was shot like that, and that Jacqueline Kennedy had to witness that firsthand, and just the whole scenario is just very tragic. But um, I do really like that Lana said it immediately evokes something, and even if someone doesn't know the whole story of John F. Kennedy, like they automatically can be like, oh, Marilyn Monroe sang to him, or him and so and so had an affair, or John F. Kennedy was so handsome. That's always something that I've always heard growing up when, President Kennedy's name was brought, or even talking about his family, about how, some say that they're cursed and whatnot. So the word Kennedy just holds a lot of power, and I really do like that Lana was able to add that into her reasoning as to why she decided to go with the Kennedy's assassination story. And here I do just show a little bit of comparison of how she mimicked the actual thing into her music video. She adds some picture onto the left. It's snippets of her music, Lana Del Rey's music video of her singing, "Happy Birthday" to the president, and then to the side of it, it is pictures of Marilyn Monroe when she was singing to John F. Kennedy. So Lana did a really, really good job at mimicking the storyline and copying almost exactly to the T how everything was set, how the scene was, following the same almost attire, aside that she had longer hair than Marilyn did, but the black and white, everything, she really hit home with it. And then to the right of that, at the top picture, it is the car that John F. Kennedy was shot. That's the day of this assassination. To his, I want to say, right is Jacqueline Kennedy. She's wearing a hat. They're all dressed up. They're greeting Texas. And in the music video below, you do see rapper A$AP Rocky, who, in this case, did play John F. Kennedy for the sake of the music video. And you see Lana right next to him. She's even wearing a hat, just like Jacqueline Kennedy did. And Lana even made sure to incorporate the securities in front, and almost a very similar car, if not, I would say like an exact version of the car. But again, she did a very well job at mimicking the real thing with her music video. And that brings my presentation to an end. Thank you so much.